I thought I knew my wife. 12 years of marriage should teach you something about a person, right? But sometimes the person sleeping next to you is a complete stranger, and you don't realize it until it's too late. You share a bed, share meals, share a life, and yet you don't really know them at all. You know their routines, their favorite foods, the way they take their coffee. But you don't know what's really in their heart. Detroit winters are brutal, but nothing compared to what was waiting for me at home. My name is Tom, I'm an accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown, and for the past 12 years I've been married to Megan, a kindergarten teacher who always seemed to love her job more than anything else in the world. She'd come home with stories about the kids, their funny sayings, their little achievements. She'd spend hours preparing lesson plans and craft projects. At least that's what I thought she was doing. It started subtle. Too subtle. Most people talk about dramatic changes, but this was different. Megan began taking longer showers, sometimes twice a day. She'd come home from work and immediately disappear into the bathroom for 30, sometimes 40 minutes. When I asked about it, she'd say the kids at the daycare were particularly messy that day. Paint in her hair, glue on her hands, the usual chaos of working with 4-year-olds. It made sense. I had no reason to question it. But then other things started changing. She began checking her phone constantly, always angling it away from me. She'd smile at the screen, this secret little smile I hadn't seen in years. When I'd ask who she was texting, she'd say it was Rebecca, her coworker, or her sister, or her mom. Always someone innocent. Always someone I wouldn't question. She started working late more often. Parent meetings, she'd say. Staff training sessions. Fundraising committee work. The daycare was understaffed, they needed her help, she was sorry but it was important. I understood. I'm an accountant, I work late sometimes too. Tax season is brutal. I thought we were both just busy professionals trying to make our careers work. Then came the gifts. I'm an accountant, I notice things, details that others might miss. It's literally my job to spot inconsistencies, to find the numbers that don't add up, to catch the small errors that reveal bigger problems. One evening in late February, I came home early from work due to a canceled meeting. My client had rescheduled at the last minute, something about a family emergency. I left the office at 3 instead of 6. Megan wasn't home yet. The apartment was quiet, cold. I turned up the heat, made myself a coffee, and decided to be productive. I went to put away some laundry in her closet. We'd left clean clothes in the basket for days, and I figured I'd finally deal with it. That's when I saw it. A shoebox pushed far back on the top shelf, hidden behind winter scarves we rarely used. It wasn't one of our shoeboxes. The brand was expensive, Italian. We didn't buy shoes like that. I pulled it down. Inside was a men's expensive watch. Not just any watch, a Rolex Submariner. I know watches because I'd been saving for years to buy myself one. I'd researched models, compared prices, dreamed about the day I could finally afford it. This wasn't mine. This was the exact model I wanted, probably worth $15,000. When I checked the engraving on the back, my blood ran cold. To my sunshine K. K, not T for Tom. My hands started shaking. I sat down on the bed, still holding the watch. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe it was a gift for me? No, it was engraved to Sunshine, Megan's nickname from college. Maybe it was from her father? His name was Kevin. But why would she hide it? And why would her father engrave it that way? I knew. Deep down I already knew. But knowing and accepting are two different things. I put everything back exactly as I found it. Every fold of tissue paper, every placement of the box behind the scarves. My hands were shaking, but my mind was already working through the problem like a spreadsheet. I needed data. I needed proof. I needed to understand the full scope of what was happening before I made any decisions. The next morning, I woke up next to Megan like it was any other day. She was still sleeping, her hair spread across the pillow, looking peaceful and innocent. I studied her face, trying to reconcile this woman with the person who would accept expensive gifts from someone whose name started with K. Someone who wasn't me. Over breakfast, I told her I had a business trip to Chicago for the rest of the week. A big client needed an emergency audit, lots of last-minute problems with their quarterly reports. These things happened in my line of work. She seemed almost relieved, which stung more than I expected. She didn't ask questions, didn't seem disappointed. She just nodded and said she hoped it wouldn't be too stressful. Instead of going to Chicago, I took vacation days from work. I told my boss I had a family emergency. In a way I did. I began my surveillance. Day 1 was a Tuesday. I followed Megan to work, keeping several cars back. She went to the daycare like normal, parked in her usual spot, went inside at 7:30 a.m. I waited across the street in my car, drinking terrible gas station coffee, watching the building. Kids arrived with their parents. The normal flow of a Tuesday morning at Bright Beginnings Daycare. At 4 p.m. she came out. But instead of coming straight home like she always did, she drove to a café on the east side of Detroit, Riley's Coffee House. It was in a trendy neighborhood, the kind of place with exposed brick and local art on the walls. Not our usual area. We lived in a quieter part of town, mostly residential. I parked across the street and waited. The café had large windows, perfect for surveillance. I could see Megan inside, sitting at a corner table. She ordered something, a latte, probably vanilla, her favorite. She checked her phone repeatedly, smoothed her hair, adjusted her sweater. She was nervous, excited, waiting for someone. 40 minutes later, a man walked in. Tall, athletic build, probably in his early 30s. He had that casual confidence that some people wear like cologne. Designer jeans, expensive leather jacket, the kind of style that takes effort but looks effortless. He was handsome in that conventional way, square jaw, styled hair, the kind of man who probably never doubted his appeal. Through the window I watched them meet. The way she smiled at him, I hadn't seen that smile in years. Maybe I'd never seen it. It was radiant, transformative. She stood up and he kissed her cheek. They sat close, too close. She touched his arm, laughed at something he said. Her whole body language was different, animated, engaged, alive in a way she never was with me anymore. They talked for over an hour. I took photos on my phone, documenting everything. Timestamps, angles, evidence. At one point, he reached across the table and held her hand. She let him. She looked happy. When they left an hour later, they walked to the parking lot together. They kissed. Not a friendly peck. A kiss that told me everything I needed to know but nothing I wanted to believe. His hands were in her hair, her arms around his neck. They stood there for several minutes, wrapped around each other like teenagers. I felt sick. I felt numb. I felt like I was watching a stranger. I followed him when they finally separated. He drove a BMW, of course he did. Led me to an upscale apartment building in Midtown Detroit, one of those renovated industrial buildings with high ceilings and exposed ductwork. Expensive. He parked in the underground garage. I wrote down the address. That night, I ran his license plate through a friend who owed me a favor. Rick worked in insurance and had access to databases. Kristian Wallace, 31, sales manager at a tech company called Vertex Solutions. Single. Living in a renovated loft in Midtown. Income probably twice what I made. Megan came home at 6:30 p.m. She said she'd gone shopping after work, needed to pick up some supplies for a class project. She seemed happy, distracted. She hummed while making dinner. I ate the pasta she prepared and tasted nothing. Day 2, I followed Megan again. Same routine. Work until 4, then Riley's Coffee House. Same man. Same intimate body language. But this time they left together after an hour. She followed him in her car to his apartment building. She was in there for 3 hours. I sat in my car in the parking lot, watching the lit windows of the building, wondering which one was his. Wondering what they were doing. My imagination filled in the details I didn't want to see. When she finally emerged at 9 p.m., her hair was different, her clothes slightly disheveled. She told me she was having dinner with her colleague Rebecca. Instead, she was in Kristian's apartment for 3 hours. I wanted to confront her right there. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to make her see what she was doing to us. But I didn't. Because I learned a long time ago in my profession that emotion clouds judgment. You need all the facts before you make decisions. You need the complete picture. Day 3, I started documenting everything. Photos, timestamps, locations. My accountant brain created a spreadsheet of lies versus reality. Every late parent meeting at the daycare, I called the daycare office pretending to be a parent, asked about their schedule. There were no parent meetings those nights. Every girl's night out with Rebecca. I checked Rebecca's social media. She was home with her kids those evenings. Every grocery run, that took 2 hours, the groceries she brought home could be bought in 20 minutes. The data painted a picture that was crystal clear and absolutely devastating. This wasn't new. This had been going on for months. But I needed more. I needed to understand the depth of the betrayal. On day 4, opportunity presented itself. Megan took a shower in the morning before work. She left her phone on the kitchen counter, charging. She usually brought it into the bathroom with her, but this time she forgot. She was singing in the shower, actually singing. I hadn't heard her sing in years. I picked up her phone. I knew her passcode, it was our anniversary ironically. But when I tried it, it didn't work. She changed it. Of course she had. I tried a few combinations. Her birthday. Her mother's birthday. Nothing worked. Then I tried something else, the daycare's address. She used addresses as passwords sometimes, said they were easy to remember. It worked. The text messages with Kristian went back 6 months. 6 months of daily conversations. Good morning, sunshine. Can't wait to see you tonight. Thinking about you. I wish I could leave him. You're the only one who really gets me. He's so boring, so predictable. Boring. Predictable. I'd spent 12 years being a good husband, a reliable partner, working hard to provide a comfortable life for us. I paid the bills on time. I remembered anniversaries. I helped around the house. I thought I was being a good partner. And I was boring. There were photos too. Photos of them together. Photos I won't describe. Photos that proved this was more than emotional. I forwarded everything to my email. Every message, every photo. Then I deleted the sent messages from her phone so she wouldn't know. My hands were steady now. The shock had worn off. Now there was just cold calculation. There was more in those messages. She'd been planning to ask for a divorce for months but was waiting for the right time. She told Kristian she never really loved me, that she'd married me because I was safe and stable after a string of bad relationships in her 20s. I was a choice made out of fear, not love. A practical decision, not a romantic one. Reading those words felt like swallowing broken glass. Our entire marriage had been a lie. Every "I love you," every anniversary celebration, every plan we made for the future, all of it was built on a foundation that never existed. But what caught my attention most was a message from 3 weeks ago. Kay wants me to move in with him. I think I'm ready. Just need to figure out the house situation with Tom. My lawyer says I'm entitled to half. Our apartment. The apartment we'd bought together 5 years ago in a nice neighborhood with good schools, because we'd talked about having kids someday. The one I'd made the down payment on with money I'd saved for years before we even met. Money from working 2 jobs through college, from living frugally in my 20s, from being responsible and planning for the future. She was planning to take half of it and move in with her lover. She'd already consulted a lawyer. She was planning her exit strategy. And I was supposed to just be the boring, predictable husband who'd make it easy for her. That's when something shifted in me. The hurt crystallized into something colder, sharper. I'm an accountant, I solve problems. I analyze situations and find solutions. And Megan had just become a problem that needed solving. I spent the next 2 days preparing. The first call was to Thomas Brighton, the best divorce attorney in Detroit. His retainer alone cost $5,000, but he was worth it. I'd heard about him through colleagues. He was the lawyer you hired when you wanted to win. In his oak-paneled office overlooking downtown Detroit, I laid out everything. The timeline, the evidence, the messages, the photos. He reviewed it all with the detached professionalism of someone who'd seen worse. This is solid, he said. Very solid. Michigan is a no-fault state, but evidence of infidelity still matters in asset division, especially if you can prove financial misconduct. Financial misconduct? Did she spend marital assets on this affair? Gifts for him? Hotel rooms? We can argue that any joint funds used for the affair should be compensated. I hadn't thought of that. But now that he mentioned it, I remembered credit card statements. Charges I'd questioned. Dinner with Rebecca, that cost $200. Shopping trips with nothing to show for them. I'd been paying for her affair. We strategized for 2 hours. I opened a separate bank account and began legally transferring funds from our joint account. Not all of it, that would be suspicious and possibly illegal. But a fair portion that I could justify as my earnings. I documented every asset we owned, every purchase, every financial detail of our marriage. My accountant skills were finally useful in a way I'd never imagined. Now, Thomas said, leaning back in his leather chair, we need to decide on approach. Do you want to serve her papers and let it play out in court? Or do you want leverage? Leverage? Make her want to settle quickly. Make the alternative to settlement so unappealing that she takes whatever you offer. I thought about it. What kind of leverage? He smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. That depends on how far you're willing to go. Then I did something unexpected. Something Thomas didn't advise but didn't stop me from doing either. I called Kristian's office. I'd researched Vertex Solutions, a mid-sized tech company that prided itself on corporate values and professional ethics. The kind of company that cared about image. I pretended to be a potential client interested in their services. Got transferred to him. We had a nice chat about his company, his role, his achievements. He was smooth, confident, probably used to getting what he wanted. He had that salesman charm, all polish and practiced enthusiasm. At the end of the call I said, By the way, this is Tom, Megan's husband. We should talk. The silence on the other end was beautiful. Pure, crystalline silence. I'll be at Riley's coffee house tomorrow at 2 p.m., I continued, my voice steady and calm. Come alone, or I'll make sure your employer knows you've been having an affair with a married woman on company time. I've documented at least 15 instances where you left work early or took extended lunches to meet her. I'm sure they'd be interested in knowing their sales manager is using work hours for personal affairs. I'll also make sure everyone in your professional network knows exactly who you are. Tech circles in Detroit are small, Kristian. Your reputation is about to become very relevant to your career. I hung up before he could respond. He showed up. Of course he did. Men like Kristian always show up when their comfortable lives are threatened. I arrived at Riley's coffee house 30 minutes early. Chose a table with a clear view of the door. Ordered black coffee I didn't drink. Waited. Kristian walked in at exactly 2 p.m. He spotted me immediately. I described myself on the phone. He walked over with that false confidence men use when they're trying not to show fear. Tom? He said, extending his hand. I didn't shake it. Just gestured to the empty chair across from me. He sat down, still trying to maintain composure. Up close, I could see he was younger than I'd thought. Maybe 30 at most. Still had that boyish quality some men never lose. The kind of guy who'd always gotten by on charm and looks. Look, man, he started, leaning forward with practiced sincerity. I didn't know she was married at first. Don't lie to me, I interrupted, my voice quiet but firm. I've seen the messages. All of them. 6 months worth. You've known from the beginning. You knew about me from your second date with her. You've been to our neighborhood, parked down the street while she snuck away to meet you. You knew exactly what you were doing. His face shifted. The false sincerity dropped away, replaced by calculation. He was trying to figure out what I wanted, how to minimize damage. What do you want? He asked finally. I want you to understand something, I said, maintaining eye contact. Megan told you she wants to leave me for you. She's been planning it. She thinks she's going to take half of everything I've worked for and start a new life with you. A nice little future. Maybe marriage someday, maybe kids. She's building a fantasy in her head. He shifted in his seat uncomfortably. I don't know about all that. Yes, you do. She's told you she loves you. She's asked if you see a future together. And you've been vague enough to keep her interested but smart enough not to commit to anything concrete. His silence confirmed it. But here's what's going to happen instead, I continued, my voice still calm, still steady. In about 10 minutes, Megan is going to walk through that door. She thinks she's meeting you for your usual Tuesday afternoon coffee date. But instead she's going to find both of us here. And you're going to tell her the truth. What truth? His face had gone pale. That you don't want her. That this was just fun for you, nothing serious. That you have no intention of being with her long term. You're going to break up with her, right here, right now, in front of me? Why would I do that? I leaned forward. Because if you don't, I'll make sure everyone in your life knows exactly who you are. Your employer gets a detailed email with timestamps and evidence of you using work hours for personal affairs. That's a violation of company policy, I checked. Your professional contacts on LinkedIn get a nice message explaining your character. Your family, yes, I found them on social media, gets to hear about their son's affair with a married woman. Detroit's not that big, Kristian. Your reputation will be destroyed by the end of the week. That's blackmail, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. No, it's consequences. You helped destroy my marriage. I'm simply making sure you don't get to walk away into a happy ending. And I'll make sure Megan knows that I offered you a way out, and you chose to destroy both our lives instead of taking the easy path. She'll know you chose your reputation over her. That you valued your career and image more than whatever you two had together. He stared at me, weighing his options. I could see him running the calculations. Was Megan worth his career? His reputation? The guaranteed drama and complications? You're bluffing, he said, but he didn't sound sure. Am I? I'm an accountant, Kristian. I document everything. I have 6 months of evidence. I have photos, messages, timestamps, locations. I know where you work, where you live, who your friends are. I've spent 2 weeks learning everything about you. Try me. The door chimed. We both looked up. Megan walked in, her face lighting up when she saw Kristian. Then she saw me. The light died immediately, replaced by confusion, then fear. Tom? What are you? She stopped mid-sentence, looking between us. What's going on? Sit down, Megan, I said quietly. She stood frozen for a moment, then slowly walked to our table. Pulled out a chair. Sat down like she was in a dream. Or a nightmare. Kristian has something to tell you, I said, keeping my eyes on him. He looked at me one last time. I held his gaze steadily. Waited. Let the silence build. He broke first. They always do. Megan, Kristian started, and I could hear the shift in his voice. The warmth was gone. This isn't working. I think we should stop seeing each other. Her face crumpled. The transformation was instant, from confusion to devastation in a heartbeat. What? What are you talking about? It's been fun, but I'm not looking for anything serious. I thought you understood that. We never really discussed being exclusive or long-term. But you said, her voice broke. She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. You said you loved me. You said we'd be together. You said you wanted me to move in with you. I never said that. He lied smoothly, not even flinching. You must have misunderstood. I think you read more into this than there was. It was just casual, Megan. I'm sorry if you thought it was something else. I watched her world collapse in real time. It was fascinating in a terrible way, like watching a building demolition. Everything falls in on itself, floor by floor. You're lying, she said, turning to me, desperation in her eyes. Tom, he's lying because you're here. He's saying this because he's scared. Tell him you'll leave, tell him we can be together, Kristian, please. I know everything, Megan, I said, my voice cutting through her pleading. I've known for weeks. I've read your messages. All of them. I followed you. I know about the watch hidden in your closet, the lies about Rebecca, the lies about parent meetings. I know you've been in his apartment for hours at a time. I know about the 15 instances where you left work early to meet him. I know you've been planning to divorce me and take half of everything. I know you never loved me. She froze. Complete stillness. Even the tears seemed to stop. I know you told him I was boring and predictable, I continued. I know you said you married me because I was safe, not because you loved me. I know everything, Megan. Every lie, every betrayal, every moment of the past 6 months. Tom, she reached for my hand. I pulled away. Don't. Kristian, please, she turned back to him, her voice breaking. Don't do this. We can talk about this later, when Tom isn't here. But Kristian was already standing up. I'm sorry, Megan. This is over. I wish you the best. He walked out without looking back. Through the window, I watched him get in his BMW and drive away quickly, like he couldn't escape fast enough. Megan stared after him, mouth open, tears streaming down her face. He'll come back, she whispered. He's just scared. He'll come back. He won't, I said. He never really wanted you, Megan. You were convenient. You were available. You gave him attention and ego validation. But you were never worth the complications that come with me knowing about you too. She turned to me then, and I saw something shift in her eyes. Desperation turned to anger. You did this. You threatened him. You made him say those things. I gave him a choice, I corrected. I simply made him consider the consequences of his actions. He chose his reputation over you. That tells you everything you need to know about what you really meant to him. You had no right. I had every right. My voice rose for the first time. Other customers in the café looked over. I lowered my voice again. You had an affair. You lied to me for 6 months. You planned to take half of everything I've worked for so you could start a life with him. You destroyed our marriage. I'm simply making sure there are consequences. We can fix this, she said, grabbing my arm across the table. Tom, please. It was a mistake. I got confused, I felt like we were growing apart, I needed attention. No, I said, pulling my arm away firmly. You made a choice. Every day for 6 months you made a choice. You chose to betray me, to lie to me, to plan a future without me while living in the home I provided, eating food I paid for, sleeping in a bed I bought. Those weren't mistakes. Those were decisions. Deliberate, calculated decisions. What are you going to do? Her voice was small now, defeated. I've already done it, I said. I've filed for divorce. The papers will be served to you tomorrow at the daycare. And because I have documented proof of your infidelity, Michigan law will favor me in asset division. You're not getting half of anything. You can't. I can. And I have. My attorney will be in touch. Don't try to contact me. Don't come home tonight, I've changed the locks. Your things will be packed and ready for pickup tomorrow afternoon. You can arrange a time with my attorney. Tom, please. She was sobbing now, loud enough that people were definitely staring. We've been married for 12 years. You can't just throw that away. I didn't throw it away, I said, standing up. You did. 6 months ago. Every day since then. You threw it away and now you're upset that I'm not going to catch it for you. I walked toward the door. "I'm sorry," she screamed behind me. "Tom, I'm so sorry. Please." I stopped at the door, turned back. She looked broken, mascara running down her face, shoulders shaking. The other customers were watching now, witnessing this private moment of public devastation. "I'm sorry too," I said quietly. "I'm sorry I wasted 12 years loving someone who was never really there." I walked out of the cafe. It was snowing again, that heavy Detroit snow that makes everything quiet and still. The world felt muted, distant. My phone buzzed. A message from Thomas Brighton, my attorney, papers filed. Service scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. at her workplace. It's done. I sat in my car for a long time, watching the snow accumulate on my windshield, letting the cold seep in. I'd planned this perfectly, executed it flawlessly, and I felt absolutely nothing. The divorce took 3 months. Megan tried to fight it at first, hiring her own lawyer. But the evidence was overwhelming. The text messages, the photos, the timeline of lies. Her attorney advised her to settle. In the end, I kept the apartment, most of our savings, and everything we'd built together. She left with her personal belongings and a harsh lesson about consequences. I heard through mutual friends that Kristian blocked her number after our meeting at the café. She tried to contact him for weeks, showing up at his apartment, calling his office. He never responded. Apparently, he'd moved on to someone else within a month. Megan moved back in with her parents in the suburbs. Lost some friends who knew about the affair. The kindergarten she worked at let her go after parents complained word had spread about the divorce and the reasons behind it. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I saw her at a grocery store. She looked tired, older somehow. She saw me too, started to walk over, then stopped. We just looked at each other across the produce section. I didn't feel anger anymore. I didn't feel much of anything. I nodded once and walked away. People ask me if I regret how I handled it. If I should have tried to work it out, gone to counseling, fought for the marriage. But here's what I learned. You can't fix something that was broken from the start. Megan never loved me. Those 12 years weren't a relationship that failed, they were a lie I believed in. The revenge wasn't in taking the apartment or the money. It wasn't even in orchestrating that scene at the cafe. The revenge was in walking away with my dignity intact, while she lost everything, her marriage, her lover, her reputation, her stability. She gambled on a better life and lost everything. As for me, I sold the apartment 6 months ago. Too many memories, even the good ones, felt tainted. I bought a small house outside Detroit, something that's just mine. Started dating again, cautiously, carefully, with my eyes wide open this time. I learned that being boring and predictable isn't a weakness. It's reliability. It's honesty. It's showing up every day and doing the work. Some people appreciate that. Megan wasn't one of them. And that's okay. Because I finally understand that her betrayal wasn't about my shortcomings. It was about hers. Sometimes at night, I still think about that moment in the cafe when her world fell apart. When Kristian rejected her and she realized I knew everything. The look on her face wasn't just shock. It was the sudden understanding that she'd destroyed her entire life for someone who never cared about her at all. I should probably feel guilty for setting that up. For forcing Kristian to break her heart in front of me. For the calculated coldness of it all. But I don't. She made her choices. I made mine. And in the end, justice isn't always about the law or morality. Sometimes it's about making sure that actions have consequences, and that people who destroy lives don't get to walk away unscathed into their happily ever after. Megan wanted excitement. She wanted passion. She wanted to escape her boring, predictable life with me. She got her wish. Her life now is anything but boring or predictable. And me? I'm doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. I'm free. Thank you for watching the video to the end. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. A playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to is now displayed on the screen. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.